history is such an important part of what makes Pinehurst special.
There's a spirit of Pinehurst here that is truly welcoming to everyone. You see the Carolina blue skies, you can smell the pine in the air, you can hear the birds chirping, you can hear the chancel bells ring.
Pinehurst is a very unique place. It's a timeless place. It's a piece of Americana.
It's a walk through time, it's a historical piece, and it is a museum piece, but it's a contemporary museum piece. In that respect, give full credit to the Dedman family, because the reality is this: Pinehurst was a special place up until, let's say the late 60s. Just about every great player who was in golf had played the fairways. But it was sold by the Tufts family around 1970. And I have to say that for a period of about 12, 14 years, the whole place had seemed to go to seed.
The bridge between the Tufts family and our family was the era of Diamond Head. I think they really destroyed, in a lot of respects, the character of the place. They took out all the historic chandeliers of the Carolina Hotel. I mean, literally, it was a fire sale.
The Holiday Inn, which had been a showplace for the resort in the beginning, this elegant, wonderful hotel, was in disrepair. There was a snow fence around it, and the paint was peeling, broken windows, and I always referred to it as rats, cats, and bats.
There was a time when the hotel closed down in the summers. The place was a ghost town, and I think it needed a savior.
Imagine that Pinehurst had gotten to the point, in terms of disrepair, that no one wanted it. Franchise hotel companies and others looked at it and said it was too far gone. Robert Dedman Sr. did not believe that.
Mr. Dedman Sr. started out right away restoring and repairing the Carolina, and the Holiday Inn put a massive amount of money into the Holiday Inn and completely redid it, but put it back to its historical beauty.
We've redone the Carolina multiple times now. You know, it was a fallen angel. There's a balance we need to strike anytime we do anything to any elements of the property, between how do you maintain the character and the history, but at the same time, how do you make it appropriate from an experience standpoint for the markets of today.
It's a real talent to take something that's a treasure and to retain its old qualities yet become contemporary, and to not just sit back and say, well, it's fine.
You know, our newest hotel is the Manor, and we tried to maintain the historical character, certainly on the exteriors. Still, when you walk in there, you feel like you're in this historic hotel that I think was started in 1922 by Emma Bliss. We've maintained a lot of the endemic character of the hotel through the interior design, but we've modernized it at the same time.
All the changes and evolutions and innovations that have happened here over the last 10 years were really sparked when the Dedmans made that decision to restore Pinehurst No. 2.
Pinehurst it wasn't a broken business model, even though the golf course had changed dramatically from what it had once been. It still was very successful from a business perspective. It was a big risk to go out on that limb and say, we think we should restore this. We think we should make this more like Mr. Ross the course that he had created. Bob Dedman was so much fun to work with. I remember distinctly him standing out there when we began the process of restoring No. 2 course. And I remember the look on his face on it. He goes, well, this is either the smartest thing I've ever done or it's the dumbest. And at that moment, it was highly in question as to which it was.
The restoration of No. 2 was really the tip of the iceberg. The success of that has led to the creation of the Deuce in the clubhouse as a restaurant, the brewery, the Manor Inn being redone, purchase of Donald Ross's house, the restoration of course No. 4, creation of the Cradle. It just goes on and on.
The renovation of No. 4, it's really a new course. Ross always said it was the best piece of land we had. It's a special course. And the irony is it's a great complement to No. 2, but very different.
The Cradle short course is one of the most interesting things I've seen happen at Pinehurst in the last 20 years. The focus is on fun.
The first 9 holes of Pinehurst were built there on the ground of the Cradle. We've even retained the names of some of the holes. It is like golf heaven on earth, and that's what we want everybody to feel.
Bob doesn't just live off the history of the resort and its past, he also builds upon it.
The Pinehurst Brewing Company is a great example of the stewardship that the Dedman family has of Pinehurst. Here you have a 120-year-old original steam plant building in the heart of the village of Pinehurst that was in disrepair, overgrown by ivy and kudzu. You really couldn't even see the structure.
And there was talk about tearing it down, and it was really a disaster. And Mr. Dedman saw that and looked at it, and he thought that this would be a great place to try to do something, and decided to do a brewery. And I love the way they retained the gauges and pipes and stuff that are inside as table legs. Their light fixtures are made of pipes and gauges. So it's a very inventive, beautiful, and very successful reuse of an old historic building that had been left to be torn down.
I think the resort is a reflection of Bob. I think he's a guy who holds a reverence for what he was placed in charge of, which came into his hands, and he treats it, again, like a fine piece of artwork. He adds to it. He burnishes it.
There's no question in my mind that he's leaving this a much better place, that he's doing all he can to make Pinehurst special again.
I would definitely say Pinehurst is Pinehurst again.
Bob Dedman is more than just preservation and restoration. He's taken it beyond. He's taken it to relevance.
I just shudder to think what Pinehurst would be today if it weren't for the Dedman family.
Pinehurst and Bob Dedman, the combination is just a wonderful example of the right person in the right place at the right time.
Pinehurst is not a time capsule. This is not a place where you come and look at how things used to be and celebrate the past. You can do that here, but you're also celebrating the present and looking forward to the future.
Well, I'd like to think the golden days of Pinehurst are still ahead of us. When I think about the future of Pinehurst, about 20 years from now looking back, I would hope we're closer to achieving our purpose, where we honor traditions and inspire legendary stories. One smile, one round, one moment at a time.